Thank you for joining us for the 2-minute drills. I'm Aram Talegian, joined by Steve Ramirez on my left, and behind the camera, the ageless one, Fred J. Robledo. Freddie, we're talking about a game that you and I have been to quite a few of. I think, Stevie, you've even been to quite a few of these.
I've been probably to the best game in the series the last few years.
Fair enough.
The one where they Monrovia won that game when they recovered a fumble at the goal line.
Okay, well, we should tell the viewers we're talking about St. Francis and Monrovia. This is this was kind of I don't want to call it a rivalry, but it was a series that needed to happen for the Pasadena area side of town, because you're talking about the top two programs, over the last, 5-10 years in that area. And this thing really needed to happen. It's good to get them both on the field at the same time. We're not so sure that that is still the label that it deserves, and the reason is because you start to look at the last couple of years. Last year St. Francis wins 35-13 at home. The year before they play at Monrovia, they win big. I was at that game. This year they're favored big again to go back into Monrovia.
This is the fourth game. Has Monrovia beat them in this since they started?
Yeah, they beat them
the first game.
They beat them 4 games back, I believe. I want to say, if you count this year, they beat them 4 games back.
One of the games, right?
And that was the game at at St. Francis where there was some.
Was that a year Monrovia won a championship? The year that they beat St. Francis?
That was the year.
Yeah, it was. Wasn't it?
That was the year where St. Francis. Monrovia had. That was the year that they won CIF, and they George Frazier was one of their key players.
Hayworth was like the QB.
Yeah, and they actually controlled that game. They pressured the St. Francis quarterback, but St. Francis came back at the end of the game.
Had the ball at the one.
And you got to remember that those were times when Aram used to rattle off the number of D1 prospects they would have and names, and he used to even talk about, they've got more D1 guys than Bishop Amat at that time, more than Charter Oak at the time. Yeah. This ain't that Monrovia anymore. That's the problem. And St. Francis, although maybe they don't have as many of those, super elite guys, I've always said they just have depth, and they have a football program that just goes a lot deeper. Jim Bonds has built that program that way, and they're like a machine that every year it just turns over. And this year, right now, it's looking like that again in a year that you didn't expect St. Francis to pick up where they left off, and so far they have.
I'll tell you what they have, and that's what kind of stood out in the series is polish and poise that Monrovia just hasn't had, especially 2 years ago. That was the Scobie team, and 2 years ago St. Francis really had its way with them at Monrovia. Dylan Crawford had a big game. They just, Ty Ganji had a big game. It was just a total difference in, two teams, as far as one knew what to do, knew how to line up, knew not to make mistakes, and played with a purpose. The other one was still a work in progress. St. Francis could Monrovia could do those things in their division and their league and get away with it because they were always so much more talented. But against St. Francis, you can't screw around. And then last year, that game I was at it was at St. Francis. It was close. Monrovia was, I think they were down 21-13, and they were driving for a score, and they got intercepted late in the third quarter, and from there things fell apart, and St. Francis added 2 touchdowns to make it a 35-13 final. So it was close there for a while. Monrovia gave a good shot last year. The problem is that I've seen Monrovia this year, and the defense leaves a lot to be desired. They still have speed. They still have decent skill guys. Lawrence Spicer scored 6 touchdowns last week, but that was against a small Arcadia defense that just doesn't play any defense. St. Francis is a whole different animal. Now, we have to talk about the other big angle of this game, and that's something I wrote about today. The quarterback for St. Francis, Miles Bryant, his brother, Mason, played at Monrovia, was a standout on one of those teams Freddie talked about. Now he plays in the Ivy League. I think he still plays. He certainly went to an Ivy League. And his dad, Kennedy Bryant, a lot of us know him from around the way. Kennedy also played at Monrovia. Freddie, I think Kenny was on that Monrovia team that beat Bishop Amat like in 1983.
And he'll let you know about that.
Yeah, he'll let you know about that. Is right. So
why is his son at St. Francis?
Academics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Academics, plain and simple, buddy. No, that's a good question. Kennedy, I'm sure would give you.
It's not a big endorsement for Monrovia.
Well, I've heard different things, but Kennedy would give you the true answer, and I'd be interested in that. But I've heard things not from him per se, but I've heard different things. I've heard one, the kid left because he knew that the talent level was headed down. Two, I heard that the kid left because Asaf Zamora from Bishop Amat transferred in, and he knew that there was going to be a battle, and in Chris Stevens' system, that Zamora was more likely to be the starter, and Zamora is the starter, and that maybe Bryant would have had to wait till his senior year when Zamora had graduated. As it stands now, Bryant is a junior, and he's a starter at St. Francis, and this kid is smart, he's poised, he's quiet, nothing rattles him, nothing gets to him. Stevie saw him play last year against Lucerne when he was pressed into action. He's ready for his game. His dad's ready for his game.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. It was a great move. You look at where the schools are right now, where St. Francis is. Yeah, and it's a private school that does offer a great education. You're in Bonds' system, a guy who probably develops quarterbacks as well or better than anyone in the San Gabriel Valley. And look, this game now, St. Francis now, to me, on the Star News side of town, is what Bishop Amat is to the Tribune side. There's nobody over there. You can't really look at a team and say this is the game we want now. It's not Mir. It's Monrovia is falling away. Then what else do you got? Maybe San Marino is starting to be the up and coming team. I mean, is LaSalle or Maranatha, are they going to get to that level where they can take on St. Francis?
LaSalle wants to get to that level, but they're not there yet.
They're in that league and they're not there yet. So right now, St. Francis is that team. There's no one in the area that can touch them. No. They're going to win this game, and they're going to be the #1 team in the Star News probably for the rest of the year, regardless of what they do, because they're just that good. And they're a team that's right on that cusp, Aram. If they keep playing well, that can play themselves into an even higher division at some point.
Right?
Yeah, I mean they almost went the last time they voted. So
yeah, but
I just think they're a program on the rise, and Monrovia, they're going in different directions.
Let's not forget
this is a blowout waiting to happen.
Okay, that's fine. All that Pac-5 talk was still there last year. And they didn't make it out of the second round, Freddie. Now, granted, their QB got hurt. Yeah. Bryant stepped in, but Lucerne on offense did anything they wanted. On
you look at what they did during the year. I mean, losing the second round.
They were 10-0.
Quarterback going. That was just a pure upset. That was a team that was good enough to win that division and probably still should have.
It was, but if you're a Pac-5 team, you still win that division. I think. I don't think you go out second round.
I don't know if Long Beach Wilson would have won that division.
No, well, you know what I mean. Like, if you're going to be a top 15, 16 Pac-5.
They still don't have, St. Francis, they still don't have, the good Pac-5 teams, just they get this turnover from year to year. Mm-hmm. St. Francis doesn't have that. They have it for this division where they can compete, but, they kind of, I've talked to Coach Bonds about this, they kind of shoot for 1 year, and they kind of build up to that 1 year.
Who's going to compete with them in league this year?
Cathedral.
That's going to be the game.
I forgot,
Cathedral and Salesian
and
are both.
St. Paul's that league too, right?
Yeah.
Isn't St. Paul looking pretty good right now?
Not to this level. Not to Cathedral's level.
They're 2-1, but they've beaten teams that they should beat.
Cathedral is probably the favorite, even over St. Francis right now. Salesian's also 3-0. And you have Harvard Westlake as well. So it's not a cakewalk. I don't want to hear the Pac-5 talk for St. Francis until they win the Southeast Division. Okay. Maybe that's this year. That's just me. Anyways, to this game, St. Francis, they hold all the cards here. Monrovia, maybe they'll have some big plays. Maybe that speed will lead to certain things. But the Monrovia team I saw last week is going to be lucky if it can hold San Marino to 50 points.
St. Francis, 35 to 15.
I think 35 is too low. I really do.
Yeah. I meant 35-14, not 50. 35-14.
Yeah,
St. Francis.
I think St. Francis is going to crack 50.
Wow.
I hate to say it, but I just didn't see enough on that Monrovia defense last week. To make me think otherwise. What do you think?
Yeah, from what I saw Monrovia against Burbank, they really couldn't stop Burbank. Burbank, but it's a different type of offense.
Right.
But if Burbank can do that against Monrovia, I can't imagine what St. Francis can do. They may score on every possession.
Right.
And I don't think Monrovia, as athletic as they are, can keep up with that. Even if they play a perfect game on offense, I don't think they can keep up with that.
Right. Okay. So there you have it. All three of us picking St. Francis in a blowout. So whether you want to believe it's Freddie's 35 or my 50 or CB's 40 something, that depends on you. Get out to this game. It's at Monrovia on Friday night. Enjoy it.